So, Gypsy Rose Blanchard just got released from prison. And if you don't remember who that is, that's the chick whose mom was insane and pretended that she had leukemia and like muscular dystrophy and was basically forcing this girl to do medical treatments that she did not need and gave her a feeding tube. And that's messed up. And she had her boyfriend, she plotted with her boyfriend at that time to kill her mother and succeeded. And she got sentenced to 10 years and he got sentenced to life, which honestly, they should have just been put in both of them put in a mental institution because obviously they're not like completely 100% sound in the mental faculties. Nothing against them. They seem like both of them were, just going through one of the hardest times you could even imagine somebody to go through. And I'm gonna look up some information because I don't know very much about it. And I want to know if this Nick guy is like a super G for taking life in prison for this girl. So just a warning ahead. My audio gets out of sync a couple of times, but it only lasts for a few seconds. So if you notice some weirdness, try to ignore it, I guess. I'm working on the fix right now. This is post video me, post video fables.
Rose Blanchard is out of prison after spending more than 7 years behind bars. Blanchard's story became
Yeah, she got sentenced to 10 years and they let her out 3 years early.
well known from the Hulu series The Act. She pleaded guilty in 2015 for conspiring to kill her mom.
Damn, 2015 was that long ago. That's 7 years ago. It went by like that for me. I bet it lasted like probably 20 years for her. That 7 years probably felt like 20. Maybe not. She might have had, I mean, she probably had a better time in prison than she did at home, so I don't know. It probably wasn't even that bad.
After years of being forced to pretend to be sick and receive unnecessary treatments, Blanchard's then boyfriend was convicted for stabbing her mother to death. He's now serving life in prison for murder. This morning,
Yeah. Ooh, that's an hour-long video.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Yeah, and apparently she got married in prison. I want to know what kind of guy this is to marry someone with her, or someone like her with her mental capacity. Which I mean, I'm nothing wrong with that. I'm just like want to see what drove him to do that because I know plenty of people that are with people who have mental issues, and they're perfect people. I'm just know that a lot of people that seek out relationships from prison are like desperate and weird and creepy. So let's check
Gypsy
that
Rose
out.
Blanchard gets married in prison. ET can confirm the 30-year-old tied the knot with Ryan Scott Anderson in Missouri on June 27th, amid the 10-year prison sentence she's currently serving. Little is known about Gypsy's new husband, but according to their marriage license, we know Ryan hails from Louisiana. But Ryan wasn't Gypsy's first serious romance in prison. She was previously engaged to a man named Ken in 2019. They met through the prison's pen pal program, but the two called it off that same year. Gypsy's currently serving time in prison.
Yeah, it seems like she's gonna just forever have issues with relationships.
For the 2015 murder of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard.
How would you describe your mom?
Um, Unique. Um, I mean, I used to always think that maybe she's a little overprotective. So if I had to say one word about her, it would be overprotective.
Dee Dee suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy and manipulated Gypsy into thinking she needed a wheelchair and was suffering from a series of chronic illnesses.
What illnesses did your mom say that you had?
Asthma, epilepsy, hearing impaired, vision impaired, fed with a feeding tube, paralyzed from the waist down.
After years of suffering, Gypsy met Nicholas Gudajan online. They formed a relationship and concocted a plan to
Imagine trying to convince people and convince your own daughter that she's paralyzed from the waist down, but is perfectly capable of moving her legs. Like, how does that happen? I think that this person is just broken now, and it's so sad. She's just going to forever have these. I mean, she was already going to have issues, but the mother did not help. And I bet this child even really, really loved her mother.
kill Dee Dee, which they did in 2015. In 2019, their story was turned into a miniseries called The Act, starring Joey King and Patricia Arquette.
I wonder what it would look like if it grew.
That seems really disgusting to me, especially if like, I don't know how much of this story is even true. Like, obviously, yeah, it was bad what the mom did, and it was probably needed it needed to happen for the mom to be killed like that. But for somebody this quickly to just make a movie about somebody who had just committed this crime, that is so gross to me. I don't know, man.
In.
Probably be a rat's nest like mine.
To be able to portray a story like this, it's really a once-in-a-lifetime type of opportunity. And it means the world going into something like this with all that support behind you. It's been such a really just great experience.
Joey, who completely transformed for this role, spoke to E.T. on set and explained why the public's perception of Gypsy might change after watching the series.
There's a lot of different opinions out there. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't support.
How do they even know what she's like? Like, yeah, you can talk to somebody and kind of get a feel for their character, but like, how do you know the story, and how do you know how the scenes that happened in her life are to be portrayed, especially from somebody who was broken and is the only person who could tell you about the events that went down? I don't get it. It's just gross. It feels like it's, I don't know. I don't know why people just insist on making movies about other people who went through mental trauma. Like, while it's happening. Like, they're just cashing in on, they're not wanting to bring light to the situation. They're just wanting to cash in on it because it's an interesting story. What is this? Business Insider? I don't know if I trust Business Insider, but I'm gonna read this. This car's vanity plate said Hitman. Okay. I have a shirt that says Hitman. And it's a Hitman shirt. Like the video game series or the movies. Whichever one you want to go with. That means nothing to me. According to People, Anderson is a middle school special education teacher. Okay. So he knows how to deal with people who have mental instability. So that's good. Anderson also appears to be a wrestling fan. The vanity plate on the car Anderson picked up. See, this is why I don't like the media, because they put this in the headline. This car vanity plate said Hitman, but in the article, if you go out, people are going to read the headline and they're like, whoa, this guy's crazy. It says Hitman on his license plate. They don't even know what a vanity license plate means. They just see plate and they think license plate. But it turns out to be Bret the Hitman Hart because he's a wrestling fan. Come on. All right. Latched. All right, I'm getting out of here. Why does entertainment have to be the reputable source? Okay. Because this is an actual headline for this. reveal how they fell in love, because that's what I want to know. I want to know why this guy is attached to her. Gypsy Rose Blanchard and Ryan Scott Anderson are reliving their love story ahead of Gypsy's release from prison. Thursday, she and Ryan spoke to people about how they met, fell in love, and tied the knot while she was behind bars for her part in her mother Dee Dee's murder. It was when Tiger King was really popular. My coworker at the time was like, I want to write to Tiger King. I said, I'll tell you what, if you write to him, I'll write Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Ryan said, I never thought she'd be my wife. So, I mean, it was kind of as a joke, a little bit. I mean, I don't think he was doing it to make fun of her. I think it was just like, what are the odds that she would write me back? This is a crazy situation. In that initial letter, Ryan told Gypsy what her story meant to me, and on the second page, I just let her have it. I told her everything about me. Gypsy responded to the correspondence because Ryan, a 37-year-old special education teacher from her home state of Louisiana, I credit that as being the most important thing, he quipped. As they got to know each other, Ryan had butterflies when we'd email, but really what set it over the top was the first time I heard her voice. She does have like a really high-pitched, squeaky voice that a lot of dudes like. We met when the pandemic was really, really strong, and I had a lot of emotional ups and downs because of COVID, she said. Ryan has seen me through some really good times, some really hard times. I would say that he's probably the most compassionate soul that I've ever met and the most patient. How does she know that if she's only like emailing him most of the time? She doesn't really know him. Anyway, I'm not going to judge. God knows he's so patient with me because I could be a lot to handle. I could be an emotional handful. Yeah, he probably knows how to handle people like that. So Gypsy's dad, Todd, and stepmom Christy wanted the couple to wait until her release from prison to tie the knot. They went ahead and exchanged vows in a prison ceremony on July 21st, 2022. Since conjugal visits aren't allowed at the prison where Gypsy was serving her sentence, the couple had to wait until after her release to consummate their marriage and start planning for kids. So they be fucking. We're in love. It's hard because I'm going into a new. You don't know that. You don't. You've got the the beginning of the. I call it a love cloud. I think this article told me a lot about who this Ryan Anderson guy is. He's just kind of. I mean, it doesn't tell me like what he's about or what his attitude toward things are. But apparently, he's a really nice dude, according to her. And she's probably going to let you know if she's being abused. If she knows she's being abused. But who knows? I'm not going to get into all of that. If she's happy, she's happy. Good for her. If she wants to, keep going through bad relationships, if this ends up like being one of those, that's her choice. And I don't really blame her at all for it. Her relationships are going to be rocky forever. But I really want to know about the other guy. What is it? Nicholas Godejohn? Let me look up a video. Why does it gotta always be these kind of publications like Oxygen and Entertainment and like Washington Post? Why is it all these left wings that they're like cashing in on this situation?
First, I want to ask you, why did you agree to do this interview with us?
The reason I've agreed to do this interview was because when I noticed that my ex-co-defendant, Gypsy Blanchard, got a lot of attention, as she did, and she just kept on getting more and more attention. I felt that it's been tipped in one side of a scale to where I really wasn't getting much coverage.
I wonder why that is. I think it's because the media really thought that they could latch onto her and make a quick buck. Look at this guy. He doesn't look like somebody that they would latch onto.
I wasn't being able to actually be able to voice my opinion. I wasn't able to let everyone know what I truly feel.
No, they don't like
I just know that
opinions.
she knows that I've taken the responsibility for mine already. I still have feelings for her. Of course, I will always have feelings for her. But every human being needs to grow and learn from their mistakes. And I feel that's where me and her both are right now. We're learning from this mistake.
He's got water dripping from his mustache.
The way she was raised, no woman should ever, no child for that matter, should ever have to be raised that way. I did feel that she was not taking responsibility for her actions, but at the same time, due to the way I know she was raised, I can't blame her. I can't. That, and along with my religion, with being a Christian, I know I'm not supposed to judge, so I'm not going to judge. It's just not part of who I am. I just won't do it.
What do you want people to know about you and your story, Nicholas?
The parts of my story that would be the main parts that would matter. And basically have it as a life lesson, basically. Tell them, be doing this stuff because you never know what it could lead to. And basically be an example of a role model if I could. Because, due to all the publicity Gypsy's getting, and she's getting me that publicity too, I feel like I have a responsibility. I feel like I have to be somewhat of a role model. And because of that, that's part of the reason why I feel like I have something to basically owe up to, basically. I do have restitution to pay to the society, which of course I'll be happy to do. But at the same time, I want to basically let everyone know that I'm not just this cold killer that doesn't have any feelings or anything.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He doesn't seem like it at all. He seems like he's a normal dude who has normal feelings and just got caught up in a really, really weird situation. That really sucks, man. And he's Christian, so like I'm Christian too, and I can see it in him that he ain't lying about that. But he no matter what you think about him, he's got a spot.
It's like that. I'm a human being, and as they say, human beings make mistakes. If I had to change anything at all, of course, one of the obvious ones was I would have probably ran away with Gypsy. That's the obvious ones. I definitely would have done that because I don't want to be staying.
I don't think that she would have done it though. That's a big problem. I don't think she would have ran away, and then he wouldn't have done it, and it would have just been that situation anyway. Because she was attached and didn't know anything else, didn't know where her life was going to go without this. Even how bad it was, the fear of not knowing what's going to happen, a lot of times is the reason why people in these weird situations don't do anything. Like there's that story of the parents who kept their kids locked in a house all their lives up into their 20s, and they had so many chances to leave, but they didn't know how to live outside of where they were living, even though they were actually living harder than it would have been living out on the streets. Like they would have been better out on the streets, which they wouldn't have ended up on the streets anyway. Besides that, that's a cool story actually. There's even police body cam footage of that whole situation. I recommend looking it up because it's cool.
With a murder on my hands, I don't want to be stained with that. Being labeled as a killer, I don't want to be stained with that, but I'll live with it. I probably would have attempted to try to get her to prolong it to a longer date, to maybe try to go a different route rather than what we did do. Or maybe trying to get her pregnant.
Hindsight's 20/20, my man.
So this way, Mom would be forced to let me in her life. Well, we really didn't get a chance to go through that route just because the limited time we had, there's just no way it would have been possible. So then maybe that'd be the only other minor change I would have made, is that I would have ran away with her earlier. So this way I wouldn't have had to suffer all this time away from each other, that we could have been closer together. That's probably the only two things I would have changed, really.
Wow. She was an adult. I thought she was a kid. different sides of Nicholas Godejohn. Okay?
When I was still in Michigan, something clicked. It was, ironically, it was on my very birthday. I had something click in me. And once that thing clicked, I knew that there was something different about myself that I didn't understand. I should actually bring up another moment when I was 14 years old, and that's when I first glimpse of it. This is when I realized that all the other things that were building up in me were basically jeopardizing my inner happiness, my inner peace, and all the rest of that. Because I remember seeing one night, it was at 9 o'clock at nighttime. I was in my grandma's house. I just remember looking in the mirror and I saw a glimpse of something I didn't recognize in my eye. It was just a shade, and then it went away. It was almost like something was trying to tell me, oh yeah, I'm there. You've created me, I'm there. There's almost no light at all in there. But I saw a shadow go right past it. It was almost like it wanted me to know that it was there. And so really, I knew there was a darker part of me, and I was actually quite terrified to actually explore it. I was terrified to explore it. And now I actually regret exploring it with Gypsy. She's the one I hoped I would be brave enough to.
Yeah, because them some demons, boy. Whether you believe in demons are actually real or not, schizophrenia, mental issues can create things like this. But Christians call them demons, because I mean they are, whether they're in the biblical sense or not.
Actually explore it with me, just so that's the way I understand what's inside, who that is, what that is. I wanted to know, so this way I know what I'll be dealing with. And unfortunately, that part of me wanted to come out for a very long time, and the very first opportunity it got, it didn't waste any time in basically trying to make an example out of somebody, unfortunately. That dark shadow part of me that really is triggered by anger. It's triggered by anger. The sweet, innocent me that I usually wake up to every day is not there. It's a completely different person. I had one of those moments you might only have once in your lifetime. Basically, it was an angel and a devil. I actually had two different ones speaking to me. They both said one thing and left the decision up to me. First, the angel spoke, which I wish I would have listened, because it's really weird.
Yeah, dude, every time you got the angel and the devil on your shoulders, listen to the angel every time. It's a given. It's obvious. Why would you not listen to the angel? Why would you listen to the devil? You already know everything the devil says is a lie, even if it sounds good and if it sounds right.
That only reassured me that my original idea of what we should do would have been the right thing to do. It's really weird that it reassured me on that. What it actually said, its very actual words, was, take her and run. This is very words. I had the other part of me, and yeah, that damn devil. What it ended up telling me was, this bitch is dead. That's all it said, this bitch is dead. Basically, once I heard that, some darn reason, I don't know why it inflamed the emotion of enrage, but it did. It inflamed the emotion of rage. So I ended up whispering to Gypsy, get in the bathroom, because I just want to get this over with. She made me believe that her mom would find her. And then I guess that's the reason why the darker part of me was more, I guess you could say.
Yeah, he basically thought that they would be found out. And if they were found out, then she's just going to go back into that life, and he wouldn't have none of it. Well, not even him. It wasn't really him. It was his, like, instinctual rage brain
not manipulative, but more able to persuade me into saying, you're gonna have to do this.
Yeah, she didn't know what else to do. That was the only way to just let life happen. Just cut it off right there. Just cut off the tail and let a new one grow. Messed up situation all around. I honestly can't form an opinion about it. I'm glad this chick's out of prison. I wish the dude wasn't in prison though. He definitely needs some actual help, some good help that's not in prison full of violence and drugs. Yeah, I'll probably look into this a little bit more. But it seems like this is about all of the information that really matters. If you want to know more about the actual murder, I'm not gonna look into that. I don't want to. I don't really care about that part.